All right, good morning, good evening, good night, Web3. We're bringing you NFT live on this beautiful Tuesday. Thank you for joining us talking. I mean, it feels like a new project Mint is just going to take over the show today. Art Gobblers, we're going to talk on it. Obviously, we had that Mint go live, and the volume is absolutely insane. I think you were saying, Gift, that it's over 30 million at this point. So Art Gobblers is going to take over the show today. And we are going to touch on them. We also have some other quick news to get to you, of course, because there's other things happening across the space, although it doesn't seem like it. What's up, Gif?
How's my audio? Am I coming in?
You're coming in hot, dude. You're coming in
All right, cool.
hot and good.
Yeah, I don't know if it's at 30 mil yet. All I know is the total volume within a few hours reached 20 mil. So, you can extrapolate from there. So yeah, we had an awesome conversation. Very nuanced, very balanced conversation in GM Web3 about Art Gobblers. Is all of NFTs insider trading? No, it's not all insider trading. Certainly not. But there's definitely, a lot of questions around a project like this where the insane valuation within just a matter of hours strains, credulity. And then you start to wonder what's going on. So we've just been digging in, trying to get a handle.
Just digging in the weeds.
Trying to understand what's going on with these VCs and these influencers.
I see.
That's it.
Well, listen, this is what we're going to get into today. So if you guys are tuning in to hear about what the fuck Art Gobblers even is, you're in the right place. We're going to touch on some like overarching things in the space. The GM Web3 show, which we do before this, got to a really cool point by the end of the episode. It goes for about 2 hours, but by the end of I would say the last 20-minute mark, it started to get into the fact of okay, if you think the space is this way, which we'll dive into in a second, what can you do about it? So that's partly what we're doing here, guys. We're trying to give you the information in the NFT and Web3 space for your knowledge, for the proliferation of good projects, for the benefit of those awesome people that we often bring on the shows. That's what we're trying to do. I know I got super heady right there at the beginning. So if you weren't part of GM Web3, you're like, what the fuck, guys? Hitting us with the feels early on.
Marty's in the comments saying one of the pinned tweets was the most cringe he's ever seen. I'd love to know which pinned tweet you're referring to. Because, yeah, we were sharing some of the different hot takes in the Jumbotron, pinning some of the tweets from the last, 12 hours that have been, getting a lot of traction in the Twitterverse. And so I'm curious which of the tweets Marty is referring to there.
It can't be the influencer list. The influencer list is by far the most arguable thing that we have on this entire network. You can't say anything about this. Yes.
It's perfect.
Literally.
It's science. Come on. You can't argue with science. Yeah.
This was brought up multiple times. We're not going to go to rate my influencer today. Those of you that are on the network know what's going on here, but we're not going to jump in here today. I rewatched yesterday's episode, or a portion, because I'm just vain like that. No, it's to make it better quality. But at an hour and 12 minutes in, we said, all right, we're wrapping up the episode. Let's do a quick rate my Halloween villain episode, which was awesome yesterday. 45 minutes later, we're still in the show. So we're going to kind of keep it a little bit low key today as far as the length of the episode. But big shout out to Metageist here, Marty McFly, Easy and Crypto, Deepak is in the house. I saw Llama and Hash Rhymes as well. Obviously, like we said, we're going to touch on Art Gobblers here in just a second. That partnership project between Paradigm and Justin Roiland. We do have a Binance/Twitter announcment here that kind of came through. We found out that apparently. And I need to make sure CZ Chengpeng Zhao. I just murdered his name, but CZ, as we like to call him, was actually in the investment round for this latest piece for Twitter's acquisition. I said investment round, it's just an acquisition there, $500 million. So we'll touch on that. GameStop. And their marketplace, we're going to get an update there. SpiderTanks and Gala Games, a game project in the Web3 ecosystems, launching to about 25,000 users, which is nice to see. Open Metaverse Alliance, we'll touch on as well. That just launched. And then Nouns Down, man. We had a good talk with Nouns the other day, and they just launched a project that the team member was alluding to on our call, but they actually just launched this in collaboration with Zora, where you can one click, no code, create a treasury and a DAO, all in kind of one, an NFT curator as well that they use there. So a lot of stuff happening in the space, and we'll end with a Premier League NFT announcement. So don't get too crazy.
Yo, you just covered a lot, Q. I'm excited to dig in. This is gonna be jam packed. I thought it was a slow news day, but you just proved me wrong.
Clearly. So we will get to it just here in a second, but please leave a like, sub on the episode. Of course, we do this pretty much every day of the week, Monday through Thursday, and then we have other creators obviously creating on the network. We are trying to proliferate the Web3 voice as we continue into mainstream adoption. But we are going to get into quick news. Anything before I miss? Anything you learned on Web3 Alpha Morning Show that's not part of Art Gobblers? Maybe, I don't know.
Nah, I mean, just primarily Art Gobblers stuff.
Meta Guy says no idea what the fuck Art Gobblers is, just getting back into the swing of things after a week of traveling. Perfect. So you're in the boat with us, pretty much.
Yeah, I only learned about it about 48 hours ago.
Okay.
Now I know a lot more after this morning's show.
Do you feel like you're not enough of an influencer, quote unquote, because you didn't get on this whitelist? Do you feel less of a person? I'm being facetious. Do you feel less of an influencer because you didn't make the whitelist and you're not 15 richer?
I've never felt like an influencer in my life. Like, that's not even a thing. I'm not even trying to be a quote unquote influencer. I want to be a creator who is respected and a thought leader. And so, no, I'm not an influencer. Thought I was, never have been, never felt it in my life. Don't even know what that would be like. So no, I'm not surprised that like when they're going to certain people that I'm not in that inside circle. Of course not. Why would I be? Look at me. We're out here, like, just, building our own castles in the sand, doing our own thing. Whatever you want to say. No, I don't know where else to go with that. I have a lot to say on the whole influencer Art Gobbler thing, right? I think there was a lot of interesting things that came. Okay, so first of all, part of why there's so much like sort of backlash or excitement or drama, whatever you want to say, so much conversation around Art Gobblers happening in Twitter is because it was a free mint that it did seem like it wasn't that transparent. And then you got certain well-known influencers, names in the space, who were all being gifted free mints that, 24 hours before we're all doing this copy pasta promotion thing. And then it went from a free mint 0 to like almost a 15 ETH floor in a matter of hours. And that's not a statement about like how or what. It's just when you have thousands of supply of an NFT and it goes from 0 to, again, like almost a $25,000 floor in that amount of time, it strains credulity. Like, you're like, there's nothing like this that you can even point to that really makes sense. Because you can look at other projects with a high supply, like a big collectible projects that had like, a big run up and like a big pump at the beginning. And none of them within a matter of hours have gone to a 15 ETH floor. Yeah. So that's the first thing, is like people are just like, whoa, like this doesn't even add up. Like It just doesn't make sense. Now, the thing that I learned from this morning, at least in terms of like how people are trying to justify this crazy valuation within a matter of hours, is that this is actually more of a DeFi project. Yes. Right. So it's like, this isn't like a straight art driven NFT project. This is much more like an NFT DeFi hybrid. And the reason, again, at least allegedly, why all these people are buying in at 13 ETH floors, 15 ETH floors, is because of the promise of the GOO tokens and the ability to mint more gobblers in the next rounds. And so there's these DeFi mechanics that are built into the tokenomics of this project. And that is what's driving a lot of this absurd speculation. And call it what it is. It to have two assets cycle back into each other in the way that it is. And VGF made a great point, a good awesome person in the space, of course, but he made a great point that it's not a pyramid scheme, because it doesn't have anything to do with
people getting in after you, essentially. Although obviously price appreciation there, it's more of a Ponzi than it is a pyramid scheme. Because basically, I came out, I was like, this is Ponzi-nomics. You buy GOO, you get a little bit more gobblers through a more convoluted process than I just simplified. But you get GOO to get more gobblers to get more GOO, and it's round and round you go. And that is, by definition, almost a Ponzi scheme. I know I'm oversimplifying, but yeah, we'll get into it. So here's what we'll do. We'll do quick news at the end of this Gobbler segment. I feel like we just need to hop into it. I do want to post real quick the basically announcement trailer for Art Gobblers. Really good. Obviously, if you don't know Justin Roiland, he is a co-creator of Rick and Morty. Great series, obviously, on Adult Swim. And we're just going to get into it.
So that's the other justification. So people are like, oh, well, Justin Roiland, famous artist and Paradigm, they're the like big brain Giga Chad VCs behind so many other big successful drops. So that's, again, these are the justifications of like why people are speculating so crazy on this project. Again, the valuation within a number of hours and getting people to be buying in at 13, 14, 15 ETH, it's really hard to understand, which is why there's so much scrutiny and like people being like, what the fuck? And then again, you've got certain names and influencers attached to it getting free mints. So yeah, it smells very weird. And again, I'm not saying this or that. I VGF came on and like, we love VGF. He's very respectable as far as I care. Very smart guy, and he was basically saying, he doesn't think that there's a lot of wash trading or anything. He thinks it's just because of the things we already mentioned, right? It's the Ponzi-nomics, or, it's the mechanics of the DeFi, the tokens, the GOO with the gobblers, and then it's the people behind it, having a creative idea and a good execution. And he thinks that's it. And so maybe that's a lot of it, All
right. We're going to touch on GOOs and gobblers here in just a second. Watch the trailer. We'll see you on the other side.
Okay, now
what the fuck? Who are you? Why did you kidnap me?
Wait, what were you gonna say?
Sorry. I was saying, now, do you understand what this whole thing's all about?
No! Are you fucking kidding me? What is wrong with you people? I'm fucking stuck in here for a fucking week? You hit me in the head. You knocked me out. I feel sick. How is kidnapping me and tying me up gonna make me understand anything? They just want us to care about the pages and the art. Make pages, sell pages, buy art that's been drawn on the pages, make pages with the GOO. I drank the Kool-Aid. I get it now. I'm a believer. The art and the pages are the most important part of this. Artists draw on the blank pages. They made me see. Support the artist discovery. Get a blank page and draw something amazing on it. Get recognition. It all makes sense. I'm not crazy. I swear. I have found purpose and meaning and happiness, and I got a pony. I've always wanted a pony. Feed the Gobblers art. They love to eat the art. Just blank pages and pages with art on them. Use the GOO to get gobblers. I'm not insane. I swear. I love their GOO. It comes out of a hose on their backs. I'm not crazy. How dare you? I'm not insane. They make GOO. You use GOO to make blank pages. Artists draw on the blank pages and they feed art to the art gobblers. I'm not crazy.
Okay, we are like super meta. I love how they kind of made fun of the NFT space in that scene. Like, so they kind of know what they're doing, which is part of the conversation that we'll have here shortly. But we will jump into explaining the Art Gobblers to begin with. So essentially what has happened here, it was a free mint. Again, Paradigm Fund is a large Web3 investment firm in the space. One of the largest, just kind of glossing over that. They're like Coinbase Ventures, Pantera Capital, Polychain Capital. These are just like big movers in the space. Paradigm has been one for the longest time in the crypto scene. So this was Justin Roiland, the co-creator of Rick and Morty and Paradigm. And they essentially, over the course of about a couple months, and correct me if I'm wrong there, GIF, they have been able to essentially garner a lot of interest through giving whitelist spots to creators. And we're going to get into the actual like mechanics of the NFTs themselves, but over the last couple months, they've been able to establish a quote unquote organic community through hosting events in their Discord, getting people involved,
so
and
there's also
notably creators.
The the other part of that is there's like a drawing tool. So there's like a creation, tool for artists, and so they've been incentivizing artists to come in, get involved using that tool, creating art. And so I think those are the pages, right, that they're talking about there. Those are probably created by a bunch of different small artists that are, have been in their Discord for the last couple months. So yeah, it's what you said. They've been incentivizing people to, get involved, consult, and help promote with allow lists, and then again getting these artists to go in and draw and create different things that I guess are actually going to be included in the project, in these galleries that are the Art Gobblers. So the Art Gobbler NFTs themselves, they're kind of like nests, and then they become their own galleries. Again, you like create art that you feed into your gallery, into your Art Gobbler using the GOO, and yeah.
So it is a little bit of a convoluted process, as is a lot of DeFi mechanics when you start adding a token like a GOO to NFTs. But I will attempt to kind of explain what's happening. The main process here, again, is you have this gobbler. You can produce GOO. You spend the GOO to get blank pages, which then you can turn into drawn pages that you feed to get more gobblers. Is this an accurate explanation of the process in the DeFi mechanic we're talking about that leads to a Ponzi level kind of? Dude, Ponzi is like negative, but it
yeah. Well, but that's like so much of the DeFi space as it is right now, because there's nothing ultimately backing up a lot of these other than people's belief or speculation, in these assets. Like when you look at that page, like I was trying to look at that, and it's just like, dude, is this really worth what people say it is? I don't know. I don't know. Like, we'll see where it goes from here. But again, like allegedly, in theory at least, the reason why people are spending, 12, 13, 14, 15 ETH on one of these early gobblers is that they believe that in the new rounds of the Art Gobblers themselves, that they will accrue the benefits, outsized benefits that will pay that off, right? Because they're getting the GOO, they'll be able to get more gobblers through the GOO. They think that that's going to be worth it, which again, it feels very much like a sort of Ponzi-nomic situation. That, I mean, the way that most Ponzi-nomics work and the way most of these DeFi protocols have worked is that it's the people that get in early actually make out really well, and then it's everybody else that gets fucked. And I think that's, this is again the real issue that I see with it. And actually Zoo made a comment. The main thing I don't understand is how under the radar this project was for the majority of people in the space. And so we're all pretty tapped in, like we obviously can't be in on everything. Like the space is very big. There's a million different projects, all of that. But there was, there's several people that were in our space that come into our spaces regularly that were like, oh, well, I was in the Discord. I knew about this for months. Yeah, and it's like, okay, so why did none of y'all talk about it at all? Like, didn't even be like sharing it, like nothing. So that it's interesting from that perspective of like, why does it feel so like insidery if it was like this open thing? And then the reason why that's potentially problematic or at least frustrating is because the way that these things work is that the insiders who get in very early, they make out like bandits, and the retail traders, the people who are not the insiders, they're the ones who usually get left holding the bag. They are the exit liquidity, like we say, for the influencers, for the insiders, etc. And so it's like, it kind of is what it is. Natalie Crew was going on an absolute tirade this morning, pointing out all the issues with this. And I agree with a lot of what she says. It feels like there's a lot of momentum in the space right now towards VCs and influencers. And that's unfortunate because that speeds up and starts to take over more and more of the space and suck up more and more of the oxygen. And so then where does it go? Again, the whole reason we're creating the Web3 network is to provide an alternative to a lot of, the mainstream shit, the big brands, the big VCs, try and create a more community-driven platform. So we're trying to be part of the antidote or the alternative to this. because when the next bull market comes with all the development, all the big brands, all the VCs that have been coming into the space, it's going to be mainstreaming. And if all of the attention and all of the air is getting sucked up by the big brands, by the VCs, et cetera, then it really leaves a lot of those crypto natives, the people that have been, the artists, the creators, the builders, the people that really care about the values of, creating something different in Web3, creating a new paradigm or a new community or a new platforms. All of that kind of goes out the window and just becomes a side note, and it gets, it becomes a footnote in the history books of Web3 at that point. If we can't figure out how to kind of, aggregate our own audiences and platforms and people that are lying around certain values. So that's the kind of pessimistic or trying to figure out what's the alternative. The other side of it is look, it's kind of just how the space operates, and you kind of either figure it out and get in or you don't.
And that's been the ethos of Web3 since Bitcoin has been created. That's what I always go back to, is literally the cypherpunk said, this is a system that is always, quote unquote, going to exist, but we're going to do something about it in our own area, in our own sphere of influence. We're going to try to create this, and it eventually, through butterfly effect, through all of these different things, has us sitting here today talking about NFTs. So the one thing I cannot get behind is somebody sitting behind their screen saying, why not me? And I think me and you both agree on this. We're not sitting here shit, I should have got in. Funnily, or just to be funny, we are. That would be something that I would say on Twitter. I wish I got it. I wish I could get in.
No, what I would have loved is for the opportunity to have known more. And I feel people are kind of oh, you should have, oh, well, you're not just reading.
But that happens is kind of my thought process. It happens.
Yeah. But I feel I feel it would have been cool for more people to have been hey, go in their Discord. They're doing something really interesting. See if you can get involved. And I just didn't really catch any of that, which, it's not about oh, you didn't get, called up and gifted a whitelist. I don't that is what it is. That comes when it comes. I don't care about that. I'm just kind of surprised by how, there's no such thing as overnight success. That's another thing that came out of the space this morning. It's look, this is Royland, this is Paradigm. There's reasons, there's smart people behind this. That's why it's achieving what it's achieving in such a quick time frame. But it did pop. It seemed to a lot of people it popped up kind of overnight.
It did, and we're getting those comments here in the chat that say, I think MetaGuy's saying nearly 3 years creating, collecting, curating art NFTs, and I had no idea about the allow list spots. Marty's saying kind of the same thing. Zoo is saying the same thing. So that's kind of the conversation that's happening, is how didn't people know about this drop? The argument being, well, they for a long time had an open Discord. They were getting information out. It didn't literally just, the Twitter profile wasn't just created 2 days ago. So they have been doing things. But again, at the end of the day, this idea that we're going to have a better space because overall, and that it can be cured, a fund like Paradigm, which again is one of the largest funds in Web3. If we're going to be cured of this, I don't want to call it a cabal, but this invisible hand while we're such a small market, that's not going to be cured. We can create our own, and that's what we are trying to do. To Gibbs' point, we can create our own safe space or area where we can get a hold of this industry as well and benefit from that in a multitude of different ways, not only just your bags, but at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we understand as well that this is always going to be the case. People are always going to try to come in and make a little money from this space. And the Paradigm funds and all the different VC funds are going to have an advantage a lot of times over the individual. The space, in my opinion, is like that way. You ever see a whale shark that's just floating through, just floating along? That's a Paradigm fund. If you can be the little sucker, the little sucker right there that just attaches yourself a little bit, then you're the dude that got the 15 ETH from this drop. You don't ever get it twisted that these people are going to have outsized control of this space. I think it's a little bit facetious to say like, oh, we have to do, we have to completely cleanse ourselves of these people. It's always going to exist, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, like, nobody's trying to be sad or jealous or angry about like the artists and the legit people in the community that like just made a bag. Like there's
bag.
Great side. Yeah, it's like, dude, I hope that if you are a person of the community, a small fish, and you manage to get in on this, that you are taking profits, because you never know where something like this is going to go. I can tell you from personal experience, a lot of DeFi experiments, they pump and they dump real hard. I've lost personally quite a bit of money speculating on DeFi projects. So I hope if you got in early that you're getting that bag, and good for you. And I'm happy about that. But yeah, to your point though, like a lot of these sort of the whale VCs, et cetera, they do have an outsized influence on the market because it is not that big or that distributed yet. So I think that's part of what you see now too, is the, when they kind of pull their levers, it's absolutely insane. Like, yeah, well, and that's part of the sort of like the unfairness of it, or what feels weird, is that it feels like there is kind of an easy button for them, and that they're playing by their own rules, that everybody else in the community, the artists, the small shops, all of them, they don't have the ability to do what Paradigm's doing. They don't have the access to all these people, all these influencers, all this money, the same kind of artists, the same kind of execution. And so it kind of does feel like they're just like hitting an easy button.
But more power to them. Hey, those guys are making money too. That's how I look at it. Like, you're making a bag too. Maybe I can make a bag alongside with you. Not on this one, but maybe on the next one. Paradigm, you could ring us up. We'll no, I'm just kidding.
You don't know. You could buy in right now at 13 ETH and like get some more gobblers, bro. You
Absolutely none of that community would buy at 15. I don't know who was buying at 15 ETH. Like, there's a couple mechanics that will show up on the screen. Apparently there's legendary gobblers that you can actually buy. There's 10 legendary gobblers.
10 legendary gobblers.
Yeah, more DeFi mechanics, but there's 10 legendary gobblers. You have to spend 69 regular gobblers to get these legendary gobblers. So a lot of this is this short term.
So like, let's say you were buying in right now, 69 times 13 ETH, 800, and so okay, it's 900 ETH. So let's see, like 900
like a mil
times what, 1600? I don't know what the floor is right now. Okay, so that's almost 1.5 million. 1.5 million dirty fiats just for one legendary gobbler. So yeah,
no, absolutely no one in that community, and psychopaths, other than psychopaths, is buying at 15 ETH. VGF went around that question you asked him, or somebody asked him, like, do you feel like 15 ETH is a good price right now? No,
he said for him, no. He said, he was like, for me,
yes.
No, not absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Easy and Crypto saying always going to be a bunch of gobbledygook in the space. DC Axie Journey is saying yikes. I think DC Axie Journey also said he didn't hear about it. He or she didn't hear about it. And yeah, we're just getting a ton of people commenting along here. We've got Marty McFly saying people are too busy watching Reddit poopatars. He's been absolutely Reddit did something to him, man.
Who hurt you?
Reddit
Where did Snoo touch you? Show us on the doll where Snoo touched you. Because I don't understand Marty McFly. Like, Gary V's an easier target. I don't know what Reddit did to Marty, but like something happened there.
Okay, couple more things as far as this Art Gobblers drop and just some mechanics around here. Of course, we showed you kind of the complex ecosystem or the process of which kind of leads to a little bit of a pump with these DeFi mechanics that we talked about. Gobblers, characters who gobble art, GOO tokens earned by the gobblers, canvases purchased with GOO and used to make art. Art is then turned into, or art can be fed to the gobblers to become part of them. So we'll continue to kind of cover this, man. Again, like, the volume was crazy. Justin Roiland, for those of you that aren't familiar either, has had multiple forays into the NFT space. So this was kind of a prime like mint in and of itself. Royland's been successful in the NFT space. Paradigm Fund is a heavy hitter, as we just mentioned. So it was going to do well, but 15 ETH, well, 15 ETH, well, maybe it was just this mashup
Again,
of Royland, Paradigm, and DeFi Ponzi mechanics.
Maybe it feels weird though, because again, you can look at other projects that like had a moonshot and like pumped like crazy, and like most of them get up to like 5 ETH, 6, 7, maybe 8 ETH before they come way back down. So to shoot up twice that or 3 times that it's an insane valuation within a matter of hours. This wasn't even a couple of days. This just minted at 420 yesterday. So it's like it's something.
Yeah, one thing that's dope about the merger that we've been able to pull off here over the past month is like we get both sides, I think, of the communities. Like I think like Nifty Castle and GM Web3 was much more heavily art focused, at least in my opinion, when I kind of look at the overview. And now we get to like cover multiple aspects of the space. Obviously, gaming is going to be huge, personally for myself and do all this stuff. But roundabout way to ask you about this tweet for Brinkman, because literally like a lot of y'all in the GM Web3 space, to the point I'm trying to make, is that you guys are art focused. And Brinkman comes out and says there are 2 distinct communities in the NFT space: artists and art collectors and collectible flippers. If you didn't hear about this, essentially is his words, then you're part of the collectible and flipper group. So I know, Brinkman's an awesome, person in the space. We've had him on the network before. But like, I feel like this is kind of a shot across the bow, and like you're an art and artist collector in the space.
Yeah. I don't really have much comment. I mean, look, as far as I know, most people think Brinkman's a pretty stand-up guy. I don't know him personally. Obviously he has an interest in this. I think he was one of the people that benefited from it. And so he's out there spinning his narrative, which, that's what you do, right? You use your platform to tell your side of the story. And I'm not even saying he's wrong. I don't have enough time. Like, I haven't spent the time to fully digest what he's saying. But yeah, I'm definitely on both sides of it personally. Like there are, I think, there's a lot of people that fall into one or two of those categories. I think there's a lot of people that are doing both, frankly. So like, I'll just say this. I don't know that they're that distinct. Mm-hmm. Are there some people that are just like fine art and do a little bit less collectibles? Yes. But even a lot of the people that I know that are like the fine art artist NFTs, they'll still pick up whatever the latest collectible is if they can get in on it. And then there's definitely people that are, I'm a collector flipper and that's like my thing. But dude, if they can get like a fine art NFT that's legit, they're still going to get that. So I don't know that it's that distinct. And I feel like I have to say personally that like I've seen a couple of his tweets and some of the other tweets, and I've been in some rooms where some of the, quote unquote influencers that were the insiders on this thing, making bags off of it, hearing them explain it. Mm-hmm. Like it all feels a little bit like they're trying to rationalize something that doesn't fully add up. And I'm just being honest. I'm not even saying that like there's anything wrong with it. Like, dude, if you're getting paid to promote NFTs, like that's literally exactly, like we want to do that. We want to do that well. Like we want to do it with integrity. We want to vet partners, and we want to set ourselves up to create valuable, trusted curation, editorial content that you can trust, that you come here and that like, we're not going to bullshit you. We're not going to gaslight you. We're not just going to pump bags without transparency. Like we don't want to be doing any of that. So it's like, look, if you're getting paid to fucking pump NFTs, like, yo, good for you. Fuck straight up. Like straight up. I'm fucking proud.
We want to be doing that shit.
Yeah. But I'm just being like totally honest because that's what I do. Like, yeah, I've seen some of the people talking about it and trying to rationalize it, and it still doesn't quite add up yet.
Listen, y'all,
and I don't know.
Here's the other part of this, right? Like one thing we're trying to do with Web3, of course, is like foster a community that can benefit together. I'm not even just saying about this personally. right? Like I would have loved for somebody in chat to be like, did you hear about Art Gobblers? Get in on that whitelist, even though we would have never. That's and there's another thing too. Like people were bidding for about 2 ETH on whitelist spots before the drop. I don't know if you heard about that, but just going into the Twitter sphere a little bit more, people were actually bidding on these whitelist spots that people were able to earn either via creating art or being a quote unquote influencer. But if you guys have some things that are coming across the board, let us know. And in the same fashion, we'll let you know. Like trying to obviously create that, foster that community.
See, this is part of what's weird and like actually frustrates me about it. Again, it's not that I wasn't like just given a whitelist or treated like I'm some kind of influencer. It's not that at all. What it is that when I found out about the mint, it was like 24 to 48 hours before. And as soon as I did, I mentioned it in our show and I shared it. Like the first thing I did when I was like, hey, there's a big mint coming up.
Yeah, that is,
maybe pay attention.
Yeah.
And I flagged it to our community immediately. And so that's it. Like the fact that there was all these people that like were in on it and like just didn't even hear about it is just it feels strange. I don't know. And maybe we're just outside. We're just outsiders.
We're just not cool enough. Dude, thank you for hanging out with your favorite micro celebrities here, your micro influencers here in the NFT space. If you agree.
Don't even do that, bro. Don't even do that, bro.
Leave a like for your favorite micro influencers. It might not be us. It might not be us. It might be somebody else out there that isn't cool enough to get on to this Art Gobblers whitelist. But if you can, help us out. We might be big influencers one day. We'll see. And guys, I say that with 100.
That's not even okay. You're kidding, right? Yeah, we're joking, right?
I think we've had enough episodes where you can like determine when I'm joking and when I'm being serious. I would never say something like that.
All right, just check in.
Okay. All right. Well, apparently I'm a huge simp and Gifted expects that of me. One last thing here. I think there was a comparison to Kong's Bananas and Babies. Put it in the chat there. Marty McFly is saying, how is this different than like a Cyber Kong's ecosystem? One, I had multiple people message me, and this is why no one tells me shit anymore, apparently, because multiple people told me about CyberKongs back then. I didn't buy one. I haven't been in the ecosystem since. So if you can lay out like how that tokenomics works, maybe we can talk about that. But again, if it looks anything like this, where you have a circular, if lines go back to the original asset, you probably have a little bit of Ponzi-nomics going on. So if that is the same, I'm not hating on it, but just know that that's that's going to be a volatile asset.
Yeah, well, but also, how isn't this a security? Like when you're promising returns and benefits from an investment, from an asset, like.
When something says Gobblers produce GOO, which is a token that's actively tradable, then technically I think you have a situation where someone like a lawyer would be like, I don't know about this, but again, Paradigm Fund, this is another reason why it's dope to have Paradigm on your side. They've launched multiple projects. They know exactly what they're doing. They're not just like, hey, we're going to launch this and we'll see what happens. They know exactly to a T what they need to be doing from the tokenomic standpoint. Marty McFly saying the bananas were used to mint a baby, same thing. Then it's Ponzi-nomics. But you know what? Like, I don't even hate on that. If you're launching a project that has Ponzi-nomics associated, all I'm trying to say is, and I'm trying to protect y'all out there, is like, don't buy in at 15 ETH potentially. If you have that type of capital, like in a short-term time frame, there's going to be a severe volatility because people are trying to get on these legendary gobblers as well as produce more GOO. And the GOO token, we'll see if they can produce enough utility, right? Like there's the DeFi mechanic as well. Is like if GOO can produce enough utility, maybe you don't see a huge kind of downward trend on that token, but you're essentially having a token that's being supplied to people just for holding that. Unless you create that utility on the other side, you have a asset that I wouldn't buy into. I'm not buying GOO on the open market.
The other thing interesting about it is that it's inflationary. So that was one of the things that VGF was explaining, is that like a lot of DeFi protocols, they'll try and affix some kind of deflationary mechanic to it, so that in theory, supply and demand, when you reduce the supply, the demand and the value increases, right? Number go up. But like the fact that this is inflationary and there's just like more goo constantly being created that is actually diluting in its value, because apparently it takes more goo to mint a gobbler, the more goo there is. So it's like, I mean, that just feeds into what you're saying, Q, which is that like this is highly speculative and risky DeFi Ponzi-nomics here. And so am I going to be buying in at 13 ETH? Nah, I'm not.
Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, there is a floor. Like GOO, unless they can create that utility to the point that we're both making, then probably not an investable asset. Gobblers, I'm sure there's a floor on the gobbler floor that's going to look good. You know, prior or like when everything settles down, you'll probably see a retraction. I'll pull up the chart now. Actually, see if I can pull.
You never know though. This could end up being, because it's got interesting mechanics and it is a hybrid DeFi NFT project. You never know. This might end up being something that really sticks around and ends up being, you know, like a I don't want to say like a Bored Apes, but it might end up being like a next big thing. You know, who knows? Because the part of this is that the mechanics play out over years. Like the full supply, I don't believe is going to be minted for, I don't know, it's like a decade, but like years. And what does that do to help sustain interest in a project and, you know, create longevity? Yeah, I just don't know, man. It's so speculative, hard to say. Yeah, but it's definitely interesting, and that's why we're talking about it, y'all. It's good for us to know about it, and I feel like, you know, regardless of what happens, whatever next big conference is, there's going to be a lot of people talking about Art Gobblers. You know?
Yep. Brian is saying, and Brian, who has a Goblin Town PFP, so shout out to a Goblin Town here in the chat. Deez was the earliest big influencer talking about Art Gobblers. Pretty sure it was back in August. Is that Deez Fi? Is that who I'm thinking of? Yeah, drop that in the chat. Yeah, let me make sure. Anyways, volume over the last 24 hours, number one in the space. About is 17,000 ETH, 26 mil.
I saw somewhere, somebody double check me on this. I saw somewhere that in just like the span of about 8 hours after its mint, that there was more volume on just Art Gobblers than there was on all of OpenSea in the full month of October, which is, again, if that's true, that's why this is such a ridiculous valuation and an insane thing, because a free mint, to 15 ETH floor in 8 hours.
Look, what are
you gonna say? What are you gonna say?
Here, like we're going down multiple different like rabbit holes. Is like I got to take a shot every time I say rabbit hole, so I make sure not to fucking say it so much. But if you had told me like, hey, here's a PFP project by Royland, that to me would actually be a very valuable PFP. Now, would it be 15 ETH in the matter of a minute? I don't know if he has that much pull, but the guy has, you know, obviously created an awesome IP in Rick and Morty. Like he is a great creator to have in the space. If you're talking about an investable project, I'm just wondering if 15 ETH.
Fan.
But
I'm
like
a huge Rick and Morty fan.
So PFP standard, like Doodles or Justin Roiland, when it, like just viewing it from the outside, like could, without any DeFi mechanics, without any of that stuff, I could see a project with this guy at the helm being a massive in the NFT space. It's just, I think 15 ETH in a matter of 24 hours, it's like, okay. So floor price 12.5. The point I'm trying to make there is like, I think Roiland has enough pull to have a project that he's involved with be valued at this floor. Like I could see it. Maybe not in a bear market. Like Cool Cats is at what, 3 ETH? Like, you know, there's multiple different like things you could say for subjective value, but Roiland and the art that he creates and the world that he's able to create, you could see this project being super, you know, dope over the long term. So 12.5 price floor, 45th largest project in the space by market cap. For 1,100 holders out of, I think, a 28,000 project. What was
not even. It's only like 1,800 right now.
1,800.
Last I checked.
People can create those. You had a great point earlier when we're talking about like how much of this is like organic and how much of this is kind of just like simulated by creating different wallets and things like that. Be super easy for one individual to create 500 wallets. I know that's reaching, but it's not that hard.
VGF. So I asked VGF point blank, what percentage of this volume do you think is basically fraudulent, manipulated? And he was like, oh, I think it's very, very low percentage because look at the unique wallet ratio, right? Like the percentage of unique holders is high. It's around like 60%, but it's a pretty low supply. So you said that's only about 1,100. Like you can pretty easily create a lot of different wallets for wash trading, like if you want. And again, if you're talking about VC money, if you got VCs that have their bags attached to something, that have the money to go like spin all this up, like I'm just saying, don't put it past them. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying, trying to tell me that like, oh, well, there's a high wallet count, so there's definitely not a lot of wash trading. Like that doesn't necessarily prove shit on something like this. It makes it harder when you have a really high token supply and there's still a very high, total unique holder percentage, because at that point it becomes exponentially harder and harder, until you've roped more people in. There's more legit wallets at that point. But when there's only 1,100 wallets, you could easily spin up hundreds of wallets to be wash trading. So again, not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying like I'm not convinced necessarily that there's not some of that happening, but
I'm sure there's some tool in the space that exists right now that's like trying to attack this, but like having a reputation attached to some wallets so that those active holders are like reputable wallets or like unique individuals, as opposed to like, hey, like we're going to create this project in 6 months. Let's like create this like fake type of, like that's the level that these guys think at. Don't ever for Marty, a second think that they're not. Yeah, I know.
Marty is straight up trolling, bro.
No, I can't.
Get out of here, bro. He's saying Rick and Morty sucks, by the way.
Dude, I can get behind some things that Marty McFly. Most of the things Marty says, I can get on board. No. Absolutely no. And Mr. Joker came out after, said agreed.
I don't know if he might not have been replying to Marty.
True.
So Mr. Joker, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt there. Let us know if you are actually agreeing that Rick and Morty sucks, because that show is epic. It is phenomenal. So I feel like literally Marty's entire raison d'etre or whatever reason for being in our chat is specifically to troll and disagree with anything that we like. Like if it's Gary V and V friends, like nah, he sucks. If it's Reddit, like nah, they fucking suck. If Rick and Morty's dope, it's like nah, Rick and Morty fucking sucks. I see you, Marty. I see the games you're playing, bro. It's not that hard.
Just drumming up controversy. Okay.
You're contrarian. He's also probably gonna start being hipster. He's like, it was cool 5 years ago, bro. I knew about it before everybody. It used to be cool. It's not anymore. Like, all right, Marty.
Zoo NFT saying anyone who goes by one metric like that is delirious, talking about unique holders. Mr. Joker saying, I have a Rick and Morty rolling tray, but I don't like the show. Shoreline saying top comedy animation from our time. Agreed. I'm not even saying this to be a simp. Like I fucking love Rick and Morty, not because everyone else loves Rick and Morty. It's because it's fucking hilarious. Marty McFly is saying probably tons of volume to farm blur tokens. I'm gonna buy one just to sell for zero profit to farm. And then Metageist is bringing up a really good positive point here that needs to also be taken into account, is that a lot of people won today. A lot of dope people won today. Like 15 ETH, that's about almost 20 G's. And
more than that.
You're like, congratulations to you guys if you got in. Like, and if you were able to sell the top, even more congratulations. A lot of people buying that, myself included. Oh, it's going to go to 20. Oh, 25. It's the next Bored Ape. We're going to go to 100 here. So if you were able to, either if you wanted to sell that and do something positive for your life, fucking congratulations to you. By no means are we trying to go out on a limb and say, man, like this sucks, I wish we were involved. So congrats to you guys.
Community winning is what we're about. That is the name of the game.
When did you watch it last for real? I watched Jurassic Mort literally 5 seconds ago, like probably a week when it came out. Literally this season has been hilarious. the past couple seasons have been great for Rick and Morty. The one where it's like evil Rick and Morty in the Citadel of Ricks is like fucking just awesome television. Let's see, Zoo NFT Solar Opposites is great too. I had a couple other things that I wanted to hit on before we popped out of Art Gobblers, but if you guys have any questions here for us, right, on what's going on with that platform and that project,
where does it go from here? Let us know in the
God.
chat. Where does Art Gobblers go from here? Is it going to tank? Is it going to crash? Is it going to go down back to zero, or is it going to the moon? Let's fucking figure it out right here.
Serious point on this GIF. I think we should add something to the show where we like follow up in like a 30-day or maybe even a 7-day timeline on projects that we talk about here. Like,
well, we should. Well, yes, and we should definitely do it for projects that we're actually like talking and promoting ahead of the launch. Because to me, it's like that's more interesting. Is like, can you or the ones that we're actually saying like are good to buy. Like I'm not saying this one's good to get into right now, but I could be wrong. So yeah, we should follow up on it for sure. Especially the ones that we have like actual, like recommendations, strong recommendations to get into. But.
Although none of it's financial advice, but yeah, like we just said, both of us are not buying in at 15 ETH. It would be great to follow up in 7 days when this shit's probably at 4 ETH. And that's my prediction.
Okay, Q, what would you buy into Art Gobblers at, Q?
I would need to see how much I'm making in GOO per day, what the tokenomics are, like specifically, like down to details. I would need to see what I'm making per day in GOO, or how much I can then fit back into Gobblers, which again goes back to the reason why this shit is pumping. Like my first thing was not Royland. It wasn't anything. It's like, well, how much GOO do I need to like break even at some point? Okay, 15 ETH. You heard it here first. 15 ETH on November 1st. Welcome to November, by the way. Fantastic. Thanksgiving, top holiday. That's another rate my holidays.
No Nut November. Let's go.
Can you break this down? Can you break this down? No Nothing November while I get the next story ready.
Do you want me to? Do you think this is interesting to the people at home? To our audience? Because
you're so interested in it, it's interesting to me. Let's do it. Actually, I want to join you in on this, although I don't think I'm going to do the shave. Like I think there's something to the effect of like I am growing a beard just because I kind of manicure it. Like the Germans back in the day, they used to have like really long hair. They used to manicure and then run into battle. Those guys were fucking manly, and they were like putting shit in their hair and stuff like that. So
I feel like you're just trying to rationalize your own vanity, and that's fine. I'm not gonna shame you.
Saying that, let's go into it.
For looking good and grooming yourself like a man. I would never shame you for that, good sir. No, okay. Look, this is a tangent. This is outside of NFTs, but it is about personal gains. That's what it's about. And so a lot of you have probably heard about Sober October or No Shave November /Movember or No Nut November, right? So there's all these different sort of like, what do you call it? Like sort of fasting,
like monthly monikers.
Self-improvement, like, is it Lent, like where you give something up, for an extended period of time? So there's all these different things that people are doing around the month of November. I decided I'm going to create my own version of this where I combine a whole lot of these different ideas and these sort of like strict behavioral guidelines into one very, very intense month, ascetic month of discipline that I'm calling No Nothing November, which is basically, it is no shaving, no drinking, no smoking, no junk food, no fapping, and no porn. And so that is basically what I'm doing all this month. I am abstaining from a whole lot of activities that I think are, ultimately negative on my masculinity, on my mental and physical health, on my general well-being of how I feel and how I present myself to the world. So that's what I'm doing in November. If anybody wants to join me, that's why you can already tell I'm not really doing the whole shaving thing and getting to be a fucking hairy wildebeest over here. But that's it, man.
I love it, man. And I actually want to join you on this journey. Again, I want to maybe not go as far as you're going when it comes to
Your own
like
goals. Create your own goals. Get
exactly.
involved. You don't have to stick to every single one. I've already talked to one or two other friends that are inspired and they want to set their own goals, and we're going to hold each other mutually accountable. So, yeah, it's about self-improvement and whatever that means to you. That's the point.
So,
it's not about telling people right or wrong. It's like, this is what I want to do for myself, dedicate to myself this month.
Love it, man. Love it. Mr. Joker is saying, who's doing No Nut November? So apparently GiftEd is getting involved here. Mr. Joker is also saying, can we do no selling in December? I'm down if we all buy in November and don't sell anything in December. If we want to organize that, I can. GIF, I tried to find something that had no nothing November, but I need you to pull up yours. But I do think one thing you should take from this list that is not yours, again, I just found this randomly, is every boner you have a day equals 10 push-ups. So
why are you shaming boners? Dude, have a healthy boner and enjoy that shit. I mean, do push-ups if you want to.
Just stand proudly there.
Well, the way
you can't do anything with it.
Yeah, the way that feels to me is like you're making it a negative or shaming somebody for having a boner. It's like, bro, enjoy them while you can fucking get them. You know what I mean? Like,
True.
I don't know, but yeah, sure, do more push-ups if you want. Yeah.
Just I'd be absolutely jacked by the end of it. Of course, no rug December. I'm down for it. This is becoming a thing.
I'm good with that. The no selling thing, I don't know how I feel about that, because one of the things I don't like about the space is flip shaming in general. And I think if you got to sell, if you need to sell, like that's how you survive. You got to get that liquidity. And so I think telling people, especially if at the end of the year, they need to make some money or whatever, that they can't be selling their shit. Like, I don't know if I can get behind that.
I feel personally attacked when people start to like talk about flippers and like collectible flippers and things like that. I'm like, if you're in the space full time, a lot of us are making our money by being collectors and investors. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of people that shame that part of the industry, I'm like, you probably have a stable source of revenue that you're pulling from. It's like, no, this is how we fucking make it to the next cycle.
I think it's detrimental when things are purely pump and dumps and they're selling a bunch of crap to people that they have no intention of keeping, and there's not transparency around that, which again is one of the issues with influencers in general, is when they are hawking shit, promoting shit to their audiences, and then they're dumping. This is one of the things that people have given, I'm not going to mention names, but when you're actively out there promoting projects, getting people to FOMO into things while you're dumping bags, it's a clear conflict of interest. And so that's not great. But to your point, you can't just be mad at the people that are actually creating the volume and engaging in the ecosystem and buying and selling shit. Then you've got no market. Yeah. So I do think, though, what I don't like is when flipping is prioritized over artists, which is what we've been seeing with this whole zero interest thing conversation, right? I think artists still need to be there getting paid for their work. Otherwise, it defeats the whole fucking purpose of them being in the space at all. And so, yes, you need flippers, you need people buying and selling, but you shouldn't do that at the detriment and like removing the controls from the artists and the creators. That's the only other part of that.
I think there was another royalty story that popped up today. So it's literally like every day it's another
X2Y2. Is that one that popped up like
that was old
ago? We haven't really talked about it. Right?
It was the Blur piece, right? Where like Blur was it X2Y2 and Blur?
Oh, well, here's an interesting thing about the whole Art Gobblers thing, because we're starting to see certain examples of like, what does Blur's solve their sort of intermediate approach to protecting artist royalties, of giving the option, but incentivizing people to pay royalties with Blur tokens. So we're starting to see examples of what that looks like. And it looks like on Art Gobblers so far, it's been roughly 50-50 split. roughly 50% of people on Art Gobblers have chosen to support the artist royalties and pay them, and about 50% have said fuck artist royalties. And again,
That's a free mint.
that's with a strong incentive to be paying artist royalties. So just know that, like, again, when you make royalties optional, the vast majority of people are not going to pay them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've seen marketplaces. I think we covered Blur, who's like rewarding with tokens if you actually pay the fee. So they're kind of like trying to subsidize some of that stuff going on. But I think
it's still a mystery what they're even worth. Mm-hmm. So like people are speculating on the values of those tokens that they're going to get gifted. And that's the only reason that it's even close to as high as it is. Because I can guarantee you, once the value of said tokens, Blur tokens, is known, that percentage decreases.
Yeah, so it basically, you think it's more of like the narrative when it comes to like them trying to sell it. It's probably not going to be as much as people think it is. So yeah, I could get behind that.
Yeah. As soon as people know like what those tokens are actually worth, and it's gone past its initial pump and dump and its cycle, people are going to care a lot less. Right now, it's all a mystery box. It's the mystery bag. Everybody's like, oh, I want to get all these Blur tokens because they may or may not be worth something. But once the floor is established on them.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, folks, I am looking here because we did have a question on how do you get GOO. So we're going to very, very quickly touch a little bit on Art Gobblers, then we're kind of almost out of here. We have quick. I know I said that yesterday and we ended up at 45 minutes more, but we do have to press end stream at some point. So we do have some quick news to hit, but I am going to pull up the what they're calling the green paper for everybody. Again, before we kind of jump in here, leave a like for all of you that are watching us. We have about 30 people, I think, watching in total, either on Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube. So we appreciate you guys tuning in today. If you're listening afterwards, that's awesome too. Leave some comments. They definitely helps the episode get out, and you guys are fucking awesome. So appreciate it there. Brian is saying, if you were selling for 13 ETH on a free mint and don't pay royalties, you are trash. See that again? That's where I was kind of coming in with the free mint. Well, if it's a free mint, right? You're like, damn, like you almost are surviving based on those royalties. But okay, I know GIF wants to say something more, but let's just get to this GOO and Gobblers piece again. GOO is actually the token of the Art Gobblers ecosystem. It's very much a reason for why there's so much interest in the Art Gobblers platform. It's not just because Royland is creating dope pictures. It's not just because they're creating a decentralized art house. It's because people are actually getting utility tokens by owning these NFTs. To Gif's point, that could be seen as security, but I'm sure Paradigm has that all worked out. Okay, so how you get GOO. An ERC20 Ethereum token emitted by Art Gobblers NFT. So you have to own an Art Gobblers there. Because GOO is needed to make new blank pages, Art Gobblers ultimately determine what art can be created in the ecosystem. GOO can also be used to create new gobblers. So there's the very important piece. You can use GOO to actually make more gobblers that makes more GOO, that makes more gobblers, that makes more GOO, and you see where I'm going with this. So if you want to know the actual answer to that question, it is you need to own gobblers to emit GOO tokens, which then you can spend in a variety of different ways. They produce utility tokens there, or produce utility for their tokens there, I should say. So we'll continue to kind of follow it. Again, like I think a good follow-up on this conversation would be maybe, either if it's not this week, early next week, and see if I know there's a reveal at 420 as well.
I saw another hot take on Twitter yesterday. Somebody saying basically that staking is dead, that like people are over it. But I think Art Gobblers has shown that it's not, because what it comes down to is like, again, what is the utility and value that you're getting from holding and or staking? Like, what are the different mechanics, and like, what's the hype around that additional thing that it's rewarding you with? If you can actually incentivize that or make it valuable or make it more interesting, add additional utilities with that coin that reward, the GOO token in this case, then clearly it's not dead if people are valuing it this highly. I just think you got to do it better. I just think you got to be more creative and provide more utility and value with it than just saying like, hey, you just stake and you just get a useless token, and that token doesn't really have much to it. Like,
I wonder if that wasn't a reaction to ApeCoin staking getting pushed. ApeCoin staking was to be launched like end of October. Maybe that was like a hot take on ApeCoin.
It sounded to me like they were in a bunch of projects, and we're seeing a bunch of projects pushing staking as one of their primary utilities, again, without actually having a valuable reason for it.
Yeah.
I think when people are just, it's kind of like people tacking on Metaverse onto their roadmap, right? It's like staking, I think, became one of those things in the meta where everybody's like, oh, we have to do that. We're launching a big collectible project. We have to have staking on our roadmap. But why? Why is staking on your roadmap? Is there a good reason for it? Does it make sense even? I think that to me is what I got from it, is more like there's a lot of projects just using it, as like an additional check mark.
Yeah. And oftentimes it doesn't have the desired effect, right? Because if you're staking something, you're getting something in return. So there's something to, like, it's not this like golden tool that you just like switch a flip and essentially like you get this huge market cap increase into your ecosystem. You're giving something away to actually have the stake. So for example, ApeCoin is probably, unless they can create the utility on the other side, ApeCoin's going to see a hit when they start the staking process where you stake NFTs to actually get ERC20s. Well, that's not going to do much for the token. It's going to have a negative increase or a negative connotation there when it comes to the actual process. So anyways, a couple more questions. Snuff McCloud saying, how do you mint? Listen, bud, I think you're not going to get in on this one. Got to find the next one. Find your next macro influencer, not micro influencer. You need to find your influencer. Oh, you're muted.
On that note of like, what's something that people might actually be able to get into and should be interested in? There's a new art blocks drop from, I think it's from Snowfro. And anybody with an art blocks token, unfortunately, the snapshot was already taken. The snapshot was taken on October 26th. So you can't go buy like an art blocks project now and get in on it. But if you have an art blocks NFT, I believe any art blocks project, which there's a lot, which is why I'm bringing it up, anybody with an art blocks NFT apparently that had it on October 26th will be eligible to claim 2 mints from a special generative art project from, again, I believe, the creator of Art Blocks and Chromie Squiggles. And so this is called the Friendship Bracelet Project. Yeah, Eric Calderon, a.k.a. Snowfro, is the person behind this. And allegedly, November 3rd is when it's open algorithmic edition. I don't know. Apparently, you're supposed to be able to mint this already. I don't know. I tried it. I wasn't able to figure it out. But just know that that's happening right now for anybody with Art Blocks NFTs.
Can you drop a link into the private chat so I can get that into the public chat there?
Yeah.
Kevin the Tack Daddy saying the land of make 'em ups, nothing like it. Welcome aboard. Marty McFly saying Punk's flying today. Brian says Paradigm backed Blur and Gobblers. They are winning right now. That's fair to point out. They're having a fantastic end of October and into November. Paradigm's done extremely. One thing that Paradigm's done for the last, I would say, 4 years. If you really want to like look into these guys, they put out a monthly analysis that is public. They have like more analysis, obviously, if you like buy into their newsletter or whatever. But they have like public analysis of projects and the stuff that they're watching. For as far up to Bitcoin and as low as you can get into degen territory, Paradigm's been doing that for a long time. So shout out to those guys. They're caking
I think, well, on that note, you know what? If there is anything that you can take away from all of this, it's like, okay, so this is happening. What do I do about it? Follow Paradigm.
Yeah.
Like that seems like one of the best things that you can do right now in the space. Clearly, they're one of the biggest VCs, creating some of the most innovative projects, biggest things happening in the space right now. So at least try and follow them and, pay attention to what they're doing. That seems like, yeah.
Yo, I can't decide whether I'm on the side of roadmaps or not when it comes to this space. Like maybe as a founder, you should do exactly what Bored Ape and exactly what these guys are doing. This is deep into the green paper roadmap. There isn't one. Like, this is what you're seeing more in the space right now. Under promise, over deliver. Like, they're saying this is a finished product out the gate. Like, they're not putting this huge roadmap. Bored Ape didn't really do a roadmap. They did like a physical map with no timelines or anything like that. So they're under promising by a lot. But I think from a user perspective, it kind of sucks. Like, you really don't like. I'm sure they're planning to do more with Art Gobblers. You know, there's probably more, whether that's like in sub-DAO territory or.
They'll do something, but they don't want to be held accountable for anything, right? And that's
which sucks.
This is one of the it's kind of like it's smart from their perspective, right? Like, I get why they're doing that. It's a lot of pressure in general. As a project founder, I know how much pressure it can be to try and execute on promises. But one of the things about doing free mints and doing this no roadmap thing is that there's less accountability, right? It's like you can basically do whatever the fuck you want or not do anything at all. So it kind of adds more predictability in a way, or unpredictability, and more volatility and like more uncertainty. And also it kind of just, again, it reduces it takes away any reason why they would ultimately, commit further to the project. Like, there's no reason to them at this point, if they don't want to do anything with it. Again, I think they will, because it's been successful already. I'm sure they'll do something, but they don't have to. They're basically just like, whatever.
I'm sure they're looking for the community of artists, because I think like square on the front page of Art Gobblers, it says we're trying to create a decentralized art house. So someone was asking about the mechanics of how the art works. We definitely, don't have time to go into like that entire piece, but there is an artist creation tool that you have with GOO tokens with Gobblers. So I think what they're potentially trying to do here is say the artists can create their like little sub DAO or sub communities within Art Gobblers and push the project forward. Mr. Joker saying speculation does help drive prices. That is one benefit of a roadmap, but also if you don't follow through, then the price is impacted in a negative stance. Okay.
Yeah, you can't win either way.
Okay. Listen, like, that was a great breakdown, GIF. I appreciate you bringing your comments in there, and everybody in chat, I appreciate you participating. We'll follow Art Gobblers like 7 days from now. I mean, we might cover it more on NFT Live throughout the week, but I definitely want to have like a check back in on that floor price to see what's going on. Plus, there's a reveal later today at 4:20 Eastern.
The reveal's happening today. Yep, and let's check back and see if we're stupid for not buying it at 13 ETH.
We will see. I would bet my Bored Ape that we're not. But anyways, glossing over that.
Wow.
Glossing over that.
Yo, hold him accountable. He just bet his ape. Floor's going down.
Yo, this is, when I say quick news, I freaking mean it. We're going to be in here for another 5 minutes, and we're going to be talking about this shit, and then we gotta go. So Binance CEO, we put 500 mil into Elon Musk acquisition. Why is this important? We talked about Doge being a super important piece of potentially of Twitter's payment system, quote unquote. We heard about Twitter launching a wallet on the platform. Well, maybe Binance is going to be part of that process. So we had CZ here on CNBC talking about how they were part of this acquisition round for Twitter, and potentially Binance is involved there. So any thoughts there, GIF?
Yeah, y'all already know what this means. Look, we've already been talking about whether or not Elon Musk buying Twitter was good for crypto, NFTs, etc. I've been very clear that it's, to me, a very bullish signal because of who he is, what he believes in, how tech forward he is. And this, to me, basically says you now have crypto money, crypto tech, crypto platforms, and crypto investors part owners of this social media platform. So like it's not just bullish on Binance, which it is. Like if you were a Binance holder or looking to get into Binance, Binance is probably going to be integrated. That's what that means.
Yeah.
But also, it's just bullish in general about Twitter becoming more and more integrated across crypto, across NFTs, having more of a crypto focus in general. When you have a lot of the investors and now, frankly, owners of the Twitter platform being crypto people.
I don't think CZ has as much tie into China, although that he is, like, I believe, or began as a Chinese citizen. Like he was a Chinese citizen at one point. I don't know if that's changed because they've had a hard line stance on crypto. He's been everywhere. Binance has been in Malta. Binance has been in, like, I think Bermuda. So I don't know where Binance stands in China today, but that would be my only question to this is, like, Elon's taken a pretty hard stance against China as well. So does that put any type of, like, hold on Binance being added to a Twitter platform? So that's my only kind of tinfoil hat theory is, like, what's China's impact here on Twitter? Okay, next.
I don't know. It's an interesting one. I wouldn't have gotten there, but it does make me think about the whole Vine announcement and the purpose of that being to compete with TikTok directly. Because arguably, Vine was the front runner, the OG to TikTok, and they couldn't keep it going or innovate fast enough or figure out how to keep it alive, and they shut that shit down. And then a year later, or however long it was, up comes TikTok, which is, you know, one of the biggest social media platforms in the world in just a couple of years, and it's basically where a lot of our culture comes from already. And the scary thing about that I'm starting to, like, get a deeper appreciation for is how manipulated by China's government it already is. And so, like, I've kind of intuitively, like, I've kind of seen the types of content that are pushed to us here in the West. And frankly, you can, like, if you're media literate and smart enough to know, like, when, you know, your buttons are being pushed a certain way or when certain things are being framed a certain way, that it's basically propaganda. Like, if you're intelligent and self-aware to pick up on those, like, sort of subliminal / just, like, you know, rhetorical devices that are used to kind of manipulate you or get you thinking certain ways, then you might have already felt like, it's weird. It feels like I'm being pushed in certain directions by this algorithm, by the content that I'm getting fed. So I already, like, had that feeling about TikTok, and now I'm starting to learn more about it, and it's actually really fucking scary. Because one of the things that I now know that is true, that's starting to come to light, is that the content that is being pushed to people in China is very different from what's being pushed to Americans. And what's being pushed to people in China is very much about education, science, like, you know, like enlightenment, like different types of things that are like, you know, values of, like, how do you improve your citizenry, make them, fortify your citizenry, make them smarter, make them more educated. What's the shit that you see getting pushed to Americans?
TikTok challenges, like bullshit, sex,
divisive ideologies.
Yeah.
First of all, which is what the Russians did with our elections. That's their whole troll farms. It was about dividing people. So we're
cutting the episode here.
Divisive ideologies. They push a bunch of underage girls fucking, like, dancing nude and shit to us. Like, they push a lot of really damaging shit into our feeds, and then mix into it anti-American propaganda. Like, every 20 videos there will be some, like, so it's like I'm starting to get an appreciation for how fucked the whole TikTok, you know, thing is for Americans specifically, and how much we're being manipulated by an outside, like a foreign government through that app. And so I'm actually very, very excited about the opportunity to maybe, you know, reclaim some of that through Vine. If Musk is actually real, which it seems like he is, about bringing Vine back to life and having an American alternative, that could be really positive.
Even
I mean,
even
obviously,
like a Western alternative, right? It doesn't even have to be American, just kind of a Western alternative
Western, yes,
potentially.
yeah. Western alternative. That's a better way to
Although,
put it, right?
yeah, it's tough, man, because I know there's people with Western ideals, or we say these things like Western ideals, but like the ideal that you can be an individual outside of like the larger propaganda, like economy and government that you live in. There's people that are watching this right now. I know. I believe Hash Rhymes is in Asia right now, and there's a lot of people out there that have those ideas as well. So I think Elon is one that has those, and that's why I think we're so kind of positive and bullish on it, is that he has an understanding of the things that you just mentioned, and hopefully has built a lot of his products to combat those things, those negative things. In like human daily life almost. So, all right, this is the
man.
quick,
we got into it. Q,
Yeah.
We got into some interesting territory today. So,
All right, cool.
Shout out anybody who's hanging with us.
Quickest news you ever heard in your life: GameStop is going beta with their Immutable X marketplace. To date, they've opened it up to 24,000 traders. They've done about 20 million in total volume. So we'll see exactly where this kind of goes. Obviously, like Immutable X is one of the, in my opinion, like larger Web3 gaming chains that you should be paying attention to. They're also giving rewards via this GameStop NFT marketplace. Here in IMX tokens, they're staking as well, a feature that we just touched on. But yeah, we're gonna follow GameStop NFT marketplace. To me, GameStop is very much in that like Atari mode, where they're trying to get into the space to kind of like save a dying business model. We'll see where GameStop goes. They seem to be going about it in a better way than Atari. I think Atari was like half in, half out. GameStop seems to be like, no, this is going to be us, So
I wouldn't call it saving a dying business model as much as they're trying to invent new business models, right? Like the old original business model failed. Like that's already they'll
go out
done.
of business.
They're trying to reinvent and figure out new business models, right? That's to me what they're trying to do. I've got a bag of IMX. I think
IMX.
that there's a lot of potential with Immutable X, and so I don't know. I haven't really paid much attention to this story yet, but I'm excited to learn more. And yeah.
Well, just pumping one of my bags. I own Illuvium token as well. I'm a big fan of Illuvium and what they're doing. The fact that Illuvium being one of like the 4 or 5 NFTs on that marketplace, maybe you get Illuvium exposure to people who are using GameStop marketplace. Again, I don't know the crossover there. I would love to like interview somebody on the GameStop side or the Immutable X side to see what tie in there you have.
Let's get them on
to your like original Web 2 user base. Like, are there people that walk into GameStop that are like, hey, I can go on the internet and access GameStop NFT marketplace? I don't know.
Yeah. Is Zeneca going to come on the show at some point? Is that a thing?
November. Yeah. November. Shit. That's in like a week, isn't it? Damn. Yeah. So I'll get you more info.
November 8th. We got to get Jess on here. So hopefully it's any day, but November 8th.
Okay, I'll let you. I'll confirm that and let you know. All right. Other quickest news that you've ever heard: Open Metaverse Alliance says it won't let Meta define the future of the internet. This was basically a conglomerate of like some of the largest players in the metaverse space. We've been talking about metaverse and the principles and the users for a long time.
Is this 6529? No, this is not his thing. This is a totally different thing from what 6529's doing.
I believe so. And you see some of the biggest members of the entire metaverse, right? Like you have Decentraland, you have Crypto Voxels, you have Sandbox. Like those are 3 of the largest metaverses kind of coming together and saying like, let's develop some standards.
Did I see a Super World on there? Oh my God. Super World is still alive doing things. I love to see that.
Where is Super World?
Yeah, you don't even see them, but they're there.
Oh yeah, there it is. What the hell's Super World? Anyways, okay.
Oh no, you don't even know us. Oh no.
I know who the big daddies Animoca brands are, so we'll see what they come up with. But the principles they're leading with here: interoperability, standardization, ownership. I think those are the things that we've touched on here on the channel as well. So if we can develop some standards around those principles, that would be amazing, and we will see the metaverse not owned by Mark Zuckerberg.
Yo, can you pull that back up? What is that website?
It's actually a pretty dope website. I can't even see. OMA 3. I'm saying that incorrectly. Oh, OMA?
OMA3.org.
What is OMA? Open Metaverse Alliance. There you go.
Alliance. Yeah.
There you go. All right.
Yo,
all right. I dropped it in there.
I'm about this. I'm about this life. I'm curious about this. I'm gonna see if I can join it. I'm gonna join the alliance right now.
I'm holding my word here. I'm not going to talk about Gala Games, although that was the other project that I wanted to get to here. But I will show you a trailer of the game that launched on Gala Games ecosystem. Gala Games is like definitely one of the top tier platforms in the space for launching Web3 games. Here's a trailer of a game that was just put out into the public. It's been in beta for the longest time. Has a real MOBA feel to it, so League of Legends vibe, but with tanks. SpiderTanks launching Gala Games. This is not a sponsored post, but it should be. How are your earbuds? Are they exploded after that? Like, am I the only one that heard that on like max volume, IMAX?
It was fine. It was fine for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So just me. Paxmark saying I wouldn't call it League of Legends vibes, but it's a cool game. Very pay to win, but that's how NFT games be. I'm going to jump into Gala Games a little bit more here, especially with like a SpiderTanks launch. It's been out for a little bit if you've had access codes. So like people have been able to play it. You're right. It's not League of Legends. I'm not comparing it to like the most popular game in the entire world.
It's a massively online battle arena. Okay.
Exactly. No. I just mean from like the third person or over the top view in like kind of battle 3v3, 4v4 segments. But yeah, SpiderTanks, I will be more into. You can earn tokens. The NFTs actually help you customize the game items. What does that sound like?
I thought play to earn was a dirty word, Q.
I think you said pay to win.
No, but I thought we had passed the play to earn meta, but maybe not. I don't know. Is this the one? Let us know in the chat. Is this the game that brings play to earn back?
I hear a lot of condensation. The condensation filter is high on this one. Condensation. Condescending filter. There you go.
Condescension filter. Yeah, two different filters. We got our
I'm just gonna start muting him when he does stuff like that. I'm like full mute, like full Twitter Spaces control over this environment. But anyways, Paxmark saying is saying I played yesterday and didn't get anything. I think we have to bridge out NFTs to Geary. There is a blockchain associated with this launch as well. So it looks like Gala Games just launched their own kind of like, I wouldn't call it a private blockchain, but it's their own blockchain there that they're going to launch more releases on, more brands. So we will follow with Geary as well.
Is it a layer 2? Is it its own L1?
I think it's let me not have my foot in my mouth on this.
Is it a side chain? Is it a ZK rollup? Is it a fruit rollup? What is it?
I think everything but a fruit rollup. Let's see. Oh, Gala chain
What's the
Geary.
point? What's the value of owning one of the battle arenas? That's what I'm curious about. Like, I think that seems interesting on its face. Like, you're like, oh, I don't own like a plot of land in a metaverse per se, but I can own one of the arenas. What is the value and utility of that ownership?
Are we talking about in this game, or are we talking about just in general?
It said like owners, or what did it say? It said something. It was like one of
Condensation?
the overlays. Yeah, it was one of the macros, the text overlays in the video said.
So, yeah, so this has happened in a couple other games as well. I think Rev Ecosystem was selling like tracks essentially. So when people play on it, if there's a token mechanic, to Paxmark's point, you get tokens when people actually play in the arena. You probably get like a royalty, quote unquote, for when people kind of like if Alluvium, for example. I could literally bet you right now, and they have this function, I believe. I could bet you an ETH that I'm going to beat you, and if we battle, you get the ETH minus whatever, in the future you get that ETH minus whatever royalty fee for that arena is.
Okay. So I wonder if these are arenas that you build yourself, or if there's like certain arenas that you can just buy on the marketplace and there's like a limited supply of arenas. I don't know. I'm intrigued. I want to learn more about how it works. It sounds interesting.
More often than not, it's the latter. More often than not, they set a limited supply for the arenas that are part of that ecosystem. People bid on it, and then they get royalties based on the players playing in there.
So that's cool if they're all one of ones and there's a very limited supply.
Yes.
Because dude, if you can have like one of 500 or one of a couple hundred different arenas, like that's valuable. I feel like.
Dude,
I mean, look, what's their token worth? Maybe nothing. But like, if you believe that their token and their ecosystem has value, then to own, one of the few places that people can battle actually becomes very interesting.
This is the dream of Web3 gamers. We just haven't gotten there yet from the user's perspective, right? Like this is the dream. Like, you're playing in Pokemon, but you have a gym and everyone's playing in there, and it's like you're getting, part royalty or part fee.
And I feel like these companies, a lot of them end up getting super greedy with the tokenomics and like, bastardize their supply super early before there's even like a real reason to like own them. I mean, that's like kind of the whole thing with voxels wanting to keep adding more land. It's like, well, you don't have even a reason to get people in there. Why are you adding more fucking land? There's like,
I think from their perspective, it's like literally from a business model. Like we have to continue to sell to survive in a way. I think from that perspective,
and it's the chicken and the egg, because I'm sure they're like, well, if we sell more land, more people will want to come in. It's like, yeah, but if the only utility is owning a piece of land in a dead metaverse, like, I don't know. It's a tough spot. It feels like a bit of a rock and a hard place.
You know what? That's a good question for is the first Metaverse Open Alliance or whatever it's called that just launched. We will get to the bottom of this, and I'm sure they have some great thoughts. Great conversation today on Art Gobblers. That was a good talk. Thank you guys for participating as well. If you do like the episode right now, we will show up tomorrow. I can promise you that. If you go down there and press like, we will be here tomorrow. So go ahead and do that.
I'm iffy on it. Yeah, we'll see how many likes we get.
All right, Gifted is iffy, but he will be on the GM Web3 morning show tomorrow, regardless if you like the episode. If you're here for the first time, thank you for tuning in. Again, we're here Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard. We're trying to bring a voice to the people, or from the people, for the people, by the people. Is that an American concept?
Of the people. From the people.
Listen, we're trying to give Web3 a voice as we go into mainstream adoption. If you are a creator, voices. If you are trusted voices. The trust is key. If you're a creator like Easy and Crypto there in the house and you want to get involved, DM us. Let us know. We got space on the network here for talented individuals, whether that's honestly text. We haven't really even got into text form like content as well. So if you're not a video star, if you don't create any music, if you just like create really cool blog posts and you want to be part of this shit, let us know.
I feel like Q really put it out there. He really wants somebody to slide into his DMs today. So let's make his dream come true.
If you got any bullshit to send me, text me at my personal profile at Matt Barbaro at MetaTireMan. I can't do it like Kane Mayfield, but if you do have any like DMs that are personal and private, definitely send them to at GiftDead. We share a DM profile, so definitely send it over to him. Guys, thank you for tuning in today. This has been fantastic. Another great episode of NFT Live. Another fucking long episode of NFT Live. We're gonna try to be more efficient with these as we go.
You be capping about these runtimes, bro. You like, oh, we're gonna be in and out. We're gonna keep it short today.
Well, then GiftDead wanted to talk about China's effect on American society, and then that's where the episode went off the rails. Can you blame me there?
Specifically TikTok. Specifically, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Look, we should all be paying attention. This is important. It's important stuff.
I 100% agree. Actually, like I'm being funny. I'm being facetious. I'm being funnily for the chat here.
Even. Yeah, I feel like
condensation
filter. Yeah.
All right,
all right, it's time, bro. Call it. My brain is broke.
This man's been doing content for 4 hours. We got to get the hell out of here. We appreciate you so much. Our Vibe, our tribe. I see you, Hash Rhymes. I see you, Easy and Crypto, Mr. Joker. Y'all were absolutely fantastic today. We will see you tomorrow.